Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at AI. I think it's safe to say AI is, it's everywhere. It really does feel like the future is now.
Yeah, and the pace of development, it's remarkable. What's interesting to me is how AI is kind of moving out of the theoretical and into practical applications with a real impact.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And one area where I think we're really seeing this is in climate science. In fact, some of the sources we looked at talked about an AI system. Get this, it can predict climate change effects,
Yeah.
apparently with greater accuracy than anything we've ever had before.
It's pretty incredible. They're using machine learning algorithms, basically training AI on massive data sets of weather patterns,
Yeah.
historical weather patterns, but also real-time conditions, and even human activities.
So it's not just looking at the past, it's taking into account what we're doing right now to impact the climate.
Exactly, and that's really key to its accuracy. By factoring in things like deforestation rates and emissions, the AI is able to kind of generate, a much more comprehensive picture of the climate system.
Okay, but I need you to break this down for me a little more. How does this machine learning thing even work? I mean, is the AI really thinking for itself?
Well, not thinking like a human, but it is learning from data. So imagine feeding massive amounts of information to this AI. It's kind of like uploading an entire library's worth of climate data into its system.
Okay, so I'm picturing a robot surrounded by stacks of weather reports and scientific papers.
Yeah, right. And the AI uses algorithms, which are essentially sets of rules to kind of sift through all this data. It's looking for patterns and relationships. And the more data it processes, the better it gets at identifying connections and making predictions.
So it's like a detective looking for clues. But instead of fingerprints, it's analyzing weather patterns and human activity.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, just like a detective gets better with experience. So too, does this AI get more accurate the more data it crunches?
This is amazing. But I do have to ask, are there any concerns about, relying on AI for something as important as climate predictions?
Oh, of course, any technology comes with, you have to think about the implications. But I think with AI, it's important to remember that AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used responsibly or irresponsibly.
Right.
So in this case, the focus is on using AI to empower scientists and policymakers with the best possible information.
I see. So it's not about replacing human expertise. It's about giving us a more powerful way to tackle climate change.
Precisely. It's about collaboration. It's
Yeah.
about utilizing technology to address a really critical global challenge.
Okay. So we've got AI predicting climate change impacts. What other game-changing developments are out there?
Okay, so this next one is going to sound like something straight out of science fiction, but an AI has been granted a patent for an invention it created.
Wait, are you serious? And AI is officially an inventor now. Okay, I have to hear more about this.
It really is quite remarkable. So this AI, working in a material science lab, actually designed a new type of heat-resistant plastic, which could have a huge impact on a whole range of industries.
So it's not just a theoretical concept. It actually created something tangible. I mean, what does this even mean for the future of invention? Are we going to see more and more AI-generated inventions?
It's certainly possible. This case could really set a precedent for how we view AI's role in creativity and innovation.
We often hear about AI replacing jobs and stuff, but this feels different. It's like AI is becoming a partner in innovation, pushing the boundaries of what's possible. I mean, it's exciting to think about what we could achieve together.
Absolutely. And it really highlights the importance of seeing AI not as a threat, but as a potential collaborator, a tool that can really augment human ingenuity.
Okay, so we've covered some incredible advancements here, but I know there are also concerns about, the ethical side of all this. And it looks like we've got some news about how tech companies are trying to kind of address those concerns.
Yeah, we have sources indicating that major tech companies are starting to establish ethical guidelines for AI development.
So they're recognizing that with great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. They're starting to really realize that they need to be proactive in addressing the potential impact of AI, especially, as it becomes more integrated into our lives.
That's a good sign. What kind of guidelines are they focusing on?
Well, one key area is transparency. They want to make AI systems more understandable so that we can actually see how decisions are being made, what factors are being considered.
So instead of AI being this mysterious black box, we'll actually be able to look inside and see how it works.
That's the goal. And increased transparency can help build trust and ensure that AI is used ethically.
Makes sense. What else?
Another crucial area is adjusting bias. Because AI systems are trained on data, it's really important to make sure that that data is diverse and representative. to avoid perpetuating existing societal biases.
So it sounds like they're taking this pretty seriously. But is this enough? Do we need more, like, actual regulations in place?
That's a tough question. Self-regulation by these companies is a good start. But it's likely that government regulations and international collaborations are going to be needed, to really shape the future of AI development.
This is fascinating stuff. But I'm going to be honest. My brain needs a break to process all of this. Don't go anywhere, listeners. We'll be right back to dive even deeper into the world of AI. Welcome back. I'm still thinking about that AI inventor. What a game changer.
I know, it's crazy. It's like we're living in a science fiction movie.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, what can AI not do?
It does, and it speaks to the incredible pace of development. But before we go too far down that rabbit hole, maybe we should circle back to those ethical guidelines we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, those are important. We were talking about transparency, making sure we understand how these AI systems are making decisions. What else is there?
Well, data privacy is a big one. AI relies so heavily on data. So it's essential to have really clear guidelines on how that data is collected, how it's stored, how it's used, especially, when we're talking about personal information. Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, we're already seeing debates about data privacy just with, the internet in general. And AI just adds another layer of complexity on top of that. So how do these guidelines address that?
Well, they emphasize user consent, giving individuals more control over how their information is used by these AI systems.
Okay. So it's not just about protecting data from being misused or, something like that. It's about giving people a say in how their data is used in the first place.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance, using data to drive innovation,
Right.
but also respecting individual rights and privacy.
Right. It sounds like they're trying to cover a lot of ground here. But are these guidelines actually going to be effective? I mean, how can we be sure that companies actually follow them?
It's a valid concern. I think ultimately the effectiveness of these guidelines is going to depend on a few things, like the industry's commitment to actually following them, government oversight to, keep them in check, and public awareness.
So it's not enough for companies to just set guidelines. We need to make sure they're being held accountable, that AI is being developed responsibly.
Exactly. It's going to take a collaborative approach. Industry leaders, policymakers, and the public all working together.
It feels like we're at this really pivotal moment with AI. I mean, the potential is huge. But we also have to be aware of the potential downsides as well. Do you think these ethical guidelines are a step in the right direction?
I do. It's encouraging to see that they're taking these concerns seriously. These guidelines are a good starting point for sure, but it's an ongoing discussion. We need to keep pushing for responsible and ethical development.
For sure. Okay, before we move on, just to recap what we've talked about with these ethical guidelines.
Yeah, we talked about transparency in AI decision-making, protecting user data and privacy, and addressing bias in AI systems.
Right. It's about making sure that AI is a force for good in the world.
Yeah, it's about shaping a future where it benefits everyone.
Okay, with that in mind, let's go back to that story about AI predicting climate change effects for a second. We talked about how it works, but I want to know more about the practical applications. How can this technology actually make a difference in our fight against climate change?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. One area with a lot of potential is disaster preparedness. Imagine being able to predict, the path of a hurricane.
Yeah.
With incredible accuracy.
Wow, that would be huge. We could evacuate people in advance, prepare emergency services,
Yeah.
potentially save lives.
Exactly. It could change how we respond to natural disasters, minimize damage, and protect vulnerable communities.
That's incredible. What else?
Another promising area is in resource management. As climate change alters rainfall patterns, and we see more droughts in certain areas, AI could help predict water availability, optimize water allocation.
So we could use AI to make sure we're using water efficiently and that everyone had access to this vital resource.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how AI can be a real force for good,
Yeah.
especially in addressing climate change.
It's about using our ingenuity and technology to tackle the most pressing challenges we're facing.
This is inspiring stuff. But we've covered a lot of ground. Our listeners probably need a minute to catch their breath. Don't go anywhere, though. We've got one more fascinating AI development to talk about, so stick around for the final part of our deep dive. Welcome back to the deep dive. We were talking about AI's potential in predicting those climate change effects. But how do we go from, prediction to action?
Yeah, that's the challenge. Data and predictions are really only as good as what we do with them.
Right. So it's not just about the AI. It's about how we use that information.
Exactly. We need to integrate these predictions into policymaking, urban planning infrastructure, even individual choices.
That's a big task.
It is. It's about changing behavior on a societal level.
So how can we make this happen in practical terms? Can you give me some examples?
Sure, let's think about agriculture with these really accurate climate predictions.
Hmm.
Farmers could change their planting schedules, what crops they're growing, even their irrigation techniques.
Oh, wow, to optimize yields and stuff.
Exactly, and minimize losses from those changing weather patterns.
So AI could help us make sure we have enough food, even as the climate changes. That's pretty amazing.
It is, and it's not just about adapting to climate change, it's also about mitigating it. AI can help figure out the best places for renewable energy sources like solar and wind farms.
Oh, to get the most energy production.
Right, and reduce our reliance on fossil fuels.
Okay, this is all starting to make sense. It's about using those predictions to build a better future.
Exactly. That's what makes this so exciting. It gives us the power to be proactive, to use AI to make informed choices for a more sustainable future.
Yeah, instead of just reacting to climate change, we can anticipate it and adapt to it, even prevent some of the worst effects.
Exactly. A shift from reaction to proaction and prevention.
I like that.
It's hopeful.
It is. It's about using our ingenuity and technology to face those challenges head on.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from all this? AI is not science fiction anymore. It's here, it's changing rapidly, and it's already having a huge impact. And yeah, there are valid concerns, but the potential benefits are incredible.
It's like we're at this turning point, and the choices we make now will really shape how AI develops and how it affects us all.
We have to approach AI with a balanced perspective, acknowledging both its potential and its risks, and keep discussing those ethical implications.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to all our listeners out there, stay curious, stay informed, and let's keep having these conversations because the future of AI is something we're all creating together.
It's up to us to make sure it's a future that benefits all of humanity.
That's it for this deep dive into the world of AI. Thanks for joining us. I don't know about you, but my mind is racing with possibilities.
Mine too. It's been an incredible journey.
Thanks again for listening, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and stay engaged with this amazing world of technology.
And remember, the future is what we make it, so let's go make it a good one.
Yeah.